Hello everyone, we are live. And I am just telling everyone we're live.
I was going to say good morning, but it's not even morning in North America either. So, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, but not good night yet.
How light is it for you? Like, when does it get dark?
Like 9:30 at night right now. I do have the curtains closed just because the light messes up my lighting. But yeah, it's weird here. It's just like in summer, like the sun will come up at like 4 and go down at 9, and then in winter it'll go down at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
it's drastically different.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the longest day now, so
Yeah.
it will be on our way back again.
I'm not as far north as you are, Lois, but because I'm like at the furthest eastern edge of the time zone. Like, honestly, we should be in the same time zone as the Canadian Maritimes, Atlantic province. But we're in the same time zone as Michigan, and like the distance from Maine to Michigan is like half the United States. So the problem for us is that it starts to get light at this time of year around 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and then the birds wake up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and then it's just like I'm awake.
And I have the wackiest sleep schedule, so I'm going to bed when it's getting light.
Yeah. No, once I accidentally wake up around like 4 or 5 a.m. and I can hear the birds, like there's not much sleep for me.
Speaking of weird time schedules and waiting for things, super fun yesterday.
Everyone waiting around all day long for the Grand Prix assignments to drop.
When are they coming?
Refresh,
I don't know
refresh.
If it's better or worse. I think it might be worse knowing that they're coming on a specific day, but not knowing when on the time is on that day. I was definitely like all day.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasted the entire day yesterday just waiting for the Grand Prix assignments. Like the half hours, I was like counting whenever the clock was close to a full hour or a half hour. I was like, okay, but then it didn't come for like 4 hours when I was waiting, and I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting and just.
I kept thinking that they were going to come out
Like,
when
I
I was in the middle of something.
Yeah, usually, like, I'm kind of used to them, not last year, because last year was very strange, but usually, like, things would come out, like, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm sat there at 3, like, refresh. I'm like, well, it's not coming. And then it's actually 4 that it all comes out. But yeah, we have used the graphics that I put up on Instagram yesterday because at least this year we had an extra day because we went straight live, like, almost as soon as they came out last year, and then I think Ellie used like AI to like ChatGPT or whatever to put it together, and it was all wrong.
It's not right. No,
it was all wrong. So this should all be right. If it's nobody's told me anything's wrong, I did double check.
You're getting so you're not getting the instant analysis that Jackie was providing, but hopefully at least you're getting correct. Not that Jackie was correct. I'm not saying anything about, but like better than our attempt at instant analysis. Okay, we know our wheelhouse.
And like talk about.
All right, it's weird that France is first. That is weird. I'm excited that we'll get to see Cowrie first at the first Grand Prix. I feel like she often takes a little time to warm up for the season, so like this feels like good to. I feel like we're gonna whatever she does, we're gonna be like, I don't know, and be worried about her, and then she'll be fine. Is my prediction for this Grand Prix. I think, Lois, are you frozen?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, it's weird that we're leaving silence here. Okay.
No, I'm also surprised. I mean, I was a little bit surprised when I saw Cowrie on the. Oh!
Oh no. Okay.
No! Anyway, yeah, Cowrie in France, but yeah, it's good for her to, like, I'm not surprised she picked it because of the time zone for the Olympics, so it made sense to choose that over Canada again. But also, like, Rikuryu maybe did the same thing. I'm also very surprised to see them here and not at NHK.
Yeah, that did surprise me that they're not at NHK. I mean, we'll get there, but I know I'm having to look at my my chart since we lost Lois's, but we will. Um, but yeah, I mean, looking at the women for this,
Oh,
I think that it should be relatively easy for Cowrie, but
hello.
oh,
I'm back.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Love technical difficulties.
So this should be an easy win for Cowrie, but it's gonna be an interesting, I think, one for the rest of the podium. You do have Chan Kim there, so who could certainly challenge for gold, and Isabeau. But there's a lot of people here who could end up on a podium, but we don't know where they are going to be. Nina and Rion, and just looking at this list, it's like that's quite a bit of uncertainty. I'm really excited to see Ami Nakai's senior debut.
Me too.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say Rion has a habit of getting podiums in France, so it's kind of become like a lucky place for her.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering about those France TBDs. They always
Me too. I was
they
about
always
to say
use
that.
them. So, but
I don't see how one of them is not Leah Serna because she's only
Same.
one spot.
Same.
I assume the other one will be between Clements and maybe May Berenice if she is pursuing the comeback still.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe another French woman who's going senior.
Also, not giving one of the pairs host spots to Kovalevs right away.
I really don't get that because it can only go to the Kovalevs. I don't even know who the other one would be. Unless like Erhard Pellegrini are going senior, but they're still junior eligible.
Yeah.
And Tilda and Noel Antoine are not together anymore.
I know, that's what I'm trying to think.
I don't know who else would be an option. I have to assume one of them is going to the Kovalevs and one of them is going to be given up.
Yeah.
The two TBD for dance are also.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting because I feel like it's a fight between Lagouche, Kaffa, Toupé Nabe, and potentially Fredji Fournier.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other teams who are good as well, and some who have aged out of juniors, but I feel like those are the most likely.
I have so many feelings about French ice dance and the teams that are gonna not get spots this year. So I will not go too hard on that.
I feel like it's so significant, like the teams like Loprave and Brissot and Dumoge Le Mercier are going to events together and are nowhere near the team who shall not be named.
Yeah, I did think that was interesting as well. I also noticed, I think I want to say this is the second time that we've gotten Deanna and Max at Grand Prix France, but that they didn't get to, they're not going to get as easy a go of it. I felt like last year they got a bit of a, the way the seeding worked out, they got a bit of a benefit of not having to face hard competitors during the Grand Prix.
Because they had the win last year, so they got to choose what they went, didn't they? And this year finished quite a bit lower.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I mean, to put them right up, so I think it's interesting that we'll see them right up against Muraki because
straight away,
yeah. In another year, that would have been like, well, those are our two, gold medal potential. I feel like it doesn't feel quite that much of a head-to-head at this point. We've got other teams that maybe are even stronger than them, which Germans, but it's
it's like Ilya and Adam going against each other straight away. It's just crazy.
But yeah, this the
feel like
dance
if, like,
field is definitely good. Go
If
ahead.
nothing drastic happens, I feel like it should be a win for Rikuryu.
Yeah.
Depends like where Diana and Max are currently, but after last season, I'm like,
I need them to bring it with their programs because
yeah,
I was not behind those programs last year, and I think it
me
really
neither, especially
hurt
the short.
them. Yeah. Yeah, the free got better, like around 4 continents. It still was not my favorite. But yeah.
I'm really interested to see where Gulabeva and Yutopoulos Moore end up in this field, as well as Pavlova Sviatchenko. I think that both of them, for me, a lot's going to depend on where they go with their programs this year, and like whether they kind of get seen as teams that are pushing into that top 5 conversation, or whether they're in that. I mean, for both of them, they've got another Olympic cycle ahead of them. Hopefully they're in a different phase, but I do think that they're both poised to be in the next tier. They've got the elements to be able to do it, but I think they've been held back in both for slightly different reasons, but for being seen as a little bit juniorish or a little bit, not as strong in the components. So I'll be really interested to see kind of how they choose to package themselves this year.
It's also very interesting with the year they've had that both Fia Gibson and Guinard Fabry are going head-to-head at both of their Grand Prix.
Yes.
I feel like that. It's also, I feel like Guinard Fabry should not be going back to France again after what happened last year. It's just like, it feels cursed. I'm very interested to see if Lolo and Guy end up on the podium. I feel like this is the event where it's likely to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what the other lineup is, but this one feels likely. It depends on how much like Davis Small kind of getting pushed.
What I want to know is, will we see them at any competition before this?
Me too.
They'll do Masters. I imagine.
Will we see them at any competition without French home field advantage and pushing? Is my question.
They kind of. They should, like, they have to get as many points banked on the world standings as possible to help them, which we assume they will be going to the Olympics. Because if I did some math when they first got together of like the maximum points they could stack, and it still, I think, would only get them to maybe the 3rd or 2nd group before the end. I think maybe 3rd group before the end. There's no way they're getting into the top group. That's just not possible. I don't think they're getting into the top 2. So they and with dance, there's a lot of reputation scoring. So it's hard to tell where they're going to be coming out. But yeah.
It feels like where that first where that first score lands them is going to matter so much. I
mean, we all knew they were going to be going to France for the first. I did want Choc and Bates to come to this event because I kind of wanted that quick head-to-head.
Well, their other Grand Prix is Finland, and they have a bit more a problematic situation there because their Shibutani is there and Piper and Paul.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It does feel really stacked, though. Look, I mean, this is partly because we're looking at this with the 2 TBD spots, but like, seeing you've got Dave Smolkin, Fia Gibson, Guinard Fabry. Like, I don't know. This is gonna be a fun one.
Reed and Blavicus as well, because they'll be desperate for a great start to the season after what happened at the end of last season.
And they will have just been training hard to do well in the
Chinese. I was going to call it Chinese Nebelhorn. God damn it, everyone's infected me. Twitter has infected me.
I kind of feel also like their result here is going to kind of depend how they do at the Chinese Grand Prix. Chinese qualifying.
Exactly.
But yeah, if they get the spot, they should be good. I think the morale is going to be better.
They usually start pretty early anyway, because I remember them doing like Lombardia a couple of years ago, so they're kind of used to that.
I'm excited for this men's field. It's
me too.
Looking at like, okay, we've got Adam, Cow, Lucas,
Yeah, that's crazy.
and Ilya, like all in this first one is going to be a fun thing. And then, I mean, Nika, Gabriele, like this is a strong field. I mean, I think they all feel pretty strong this year, but I really, this is going to be a fun matchup just the Grand Prix.
Yeah. I feel like there's been some kind of deal between France and America, because I don't know why America only have 2 men's spots at Skate America, and there's a lot of like French at Skate America. So I feel like there's been some kind of deal in that Ilya wanted to do an early Grand Prix. The only way to do that would be to go against Adam. So then Skate America, America have done America have done France a favor and put a lot of their athletes in Skate America.
Well, they didn't totally switch, but I'm wondering if that was partly because of the switch of the timing. If there was like some deal that involved.
I think Ilya wanted early events.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that aligned with what America wanted when they changed their schedule. Because I feel like that was like their intention, that they wanted a later event, I guess, to maybe build momentum towards the Olympics.
We'll get there, but not putting Ilya at Skate America is an interesting.
Well, Ilya choosing not to go to Skate America, I assume, because Ilya chooses where he wants to go.
Yeah, well, and I think that's exactly the thing, is that where who has more leverage in that situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely excited for the field. Cup of China.
I did find it very interesting that they gave Yizu the spot immediately and didn't give it to Zhang Yi and Hong Yi, because I feel like they're the most obvious choices to put straight in the spot. So yeah, I've just found that very interesting.
I wonder who they're gonna send to the qualifier as well.
Yeah, this would probably kind of imply
that
it would be Yi, but I mean, I guess Zhang Yi didn't do great at Worlds.
Yeah. It is interesting that we'll see. Yeah, so we've got a couple people that will be at the qualifier here. We've got Nastya also. This is going to be an interesting early matchup with Amber and Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And with Hayen and Gia as well.
Yes. And all the Japanese women. Each of these, within the nation ones are so interesting right now, because those are all 3 people that are in my could make the Olympic team, but are not in my top probabilities.
Yeah, they're not guaranteed, but they're kind of on the periphery of, if you do really well, you could get in.
Exactly, which makes it super interesting.
With I'd say potentially, maybe Rinka, maybe the most likely, because I feel like the triple axel is potentially more stable than Hannah's.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
But we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Hannah has been getting the federation sort of push and a bit more of the edge in the past, but I feel like she didn't do as well toward the end of last season, so that may not be the case anymore.
They certainly favored having a triple axel last time with the Olympics with Nana.
But yeah, this is 3 3 potential triple axels in this field. Who knows whether Alyssa's going to suddenly come back with a triple axel. I wouldn't put it past
maybe
her.
4, yeah, if Alyssa,
she doesn't need it. She could.
Maybe 5 if Hayen tries to bring hers in.
Part of me hopes that that having just said this, we'll throw this all up in the air and Kimmy will get on the podium or something, because that would be kind of fun. But
she'd be desperate for that as well, because she's always getting 4th.
Yes.
With Gia here, I feel like this is a tough list of people to go against. But
Yeah.
with the current, like with the general assignments for women, I don't think anywhere would be easier for her. Like trying to predict podiums in general in the women's field at the Grand Prix, impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. This
My
is a
terrible
complete dice roll, and I feel like the scores are gonna be insanely close every single time.
My terrible fantasy scores would agree with you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was awful at fantasy last year. I mean, women's events in particular can be really, really crazy. I mean, the men obviously are always menning, so we expect that from the men. But like we had like a couple of years ago, we had Star Andrews like on the podium in like Canada or whatever. It's crazy. Like what can happen when you're not expecting it.
What do you think about Gia's chances this year? I feel like there are people who are already, saying, oh, maybe she's a dark horse at the Olympics or something like that. And I guess that hadn't been on my radar as strongly just because of sort of recency bias and not thinking about people coming out of juniors. But
I don't think there's Olympic podium potential there. I mean, she's got to make the team first. I think that's the first hurdle. And people are kind of saying, "Oh, she's got no chance now. She's only got one spot." I'm almost guaranteeing that she's going to pick up another. She's only like third on the alternates, and second on the alternates if you consider the Japanese women are maxed out at every competition except for the host pick in NHK. So I feel like she's bound to pick up another spot. But this such a hard, tough field, and probably whatever spot she picks up will be tough as well. It's very daunting to like have your first senior season be an Olympic year.
Yeah, I was about to say that it's her first senior season, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure on her to like do the absolute best and go clean every single time. And it's only her second year with Brian as well,
and it wasn't.
So there's a lot of changes. So I don't know.
Yeah, like she had so much inconsistency last season. She was extremely lucky to make the junior world podium. Like,
true.
She was pretty low down after the tour program, and it's just everyone else had a bit of a messy free skate, and she managed to not be as messy. So, like, if she's got that consistency back, she's definitely like a contender for medals. But I wouldn't say she was a contender for an Olympic medal.
Makes sense. For the men, I was really glad to see Boyang on this list. I wasn't sure sort of what was going on with him recently, but glad to see him back.
I'm hoping, I think it was a back injury. I'm hoping that's doing better. I feel like I assume the TBD spot will go to Yudong Chen. I don't know if there are any more. Well, there's like Zimeng Peng, I think, who was all right last year. So I guess there's a couple of options there.
Yeah. I feel like on paper, it's Shun, June, and Mikhail Sidorov as sort of podium here. But Daniel,
you never know with Gressel.
Soda could sneak in.
I mean, even Dennis could sneak in if it's better. I mean.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of very different kinds of skaters here, and no one who is, known for being especially consistent. So
I'm interested to see how Jacob does on his first Grand Prix, because he was pretty consistent last year, except for like a Junior Worlds, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Interesting to see if he like brings in a quad or anything, or if he sticks to what he was doing content-wise last year.
And that's another race for us to be watching, is sort of that question. I think that the U.S. men's team does not feel settled, and that there are people that are likelier than others, but anyone who is having a great season could set themselves up for a second spot there.
I do feel like it's Ilya and Jason, and then whoever thrives this season at this point, which I did not think I was saying at the beginning of last season, because I thought Jason had lost his consistency, but he just nailed it at the end of the year, and I can't see how he's not on the team.
come on, Camden, lock in. Do it.
Take some time off
Let's
work.
push.
I'm very happy to see him on this list as well. That he's not completely, submerging himself in the finance
world.
era. I wonder if Shaidarov's gonna keep his insane consistency
Yeah.
into this season as well. Because if he does, I feel like there's definitely a shot at the gold medal here.
Oh yeah.
Even if everybody else is clean.
I feel like he's kind of been lucky injury-wise recently. He's had some problems in the past, but like when you consider that Adam had a quite injury-fraught season last year, if he can just stay healthy.
And I wonder about that. If anything feels different for him now, being in this space as a potential, sort of Olympic medal contender, even to be like that he's in a different conversation than he was before. If that sometimes that can make, skaters that have been really consistent struggle. But I also just have the sense from him that he's kind of, he's on a good, like locked in trajectory, and he doesn't give the impression of being, you never know what's going on inside people's heads. He doesn't give the impression of being a nervous skater, but I'm wondering how that's going to turn out this year.
I'm also hoping we're finally going to get an injury-free Grand Prix from John, because it's been a while.
We don't know what Jun's skating to yet, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm interested to see. I did think I saw some hints. I feel like I saw somebody post something that was the one program doesn't have lyrics and one program does.
Oh yeah.
That's what I saw yesterday.
Yeah.
This is completely personal and biased, but I'm like, I really want Jun to be skating to music that I like this year, because I've always liked him as a skater, but it's like never totally like clicked in for me, partly because I haven't loved programs very much. And so I am absolutely that biased, and I'm like, oh, you're skating to a song I like, then I'm gonna like your program more.
I'm like that as well, so I understand that completely.
I think my introduction to John was John Liette. So I think that was the year he made the Grand Prix final. I was like, oh, this is so cool, I love it. I love the drama, but yeah, his programs can be a bit hit or miss.
And I've liked some of them, and this is not not a criticism of Jun. I've always felt like he has the potential to be this amazing full package skater, and I see it I see it, but I don't feel it always, and so I want that
I assume if one of them is no lyrics, that it's probably classical.
And classical's okay by me. I like classical. I just
Italian classical is probably going to be a favorite for a lot of people this year. So
I feel like we should make a bet on how many Turindos there's going to be.
Oh no. Oh.
I will take a lot of Turindos over a lot of. I think my Italian warhorse meter will be happy if we have more Turindo than we have Andrea Bocelli, and I'm afraid it's the other way around.
Yes. I think Fall on Me is the only one I kind of like by Bocelli. But
looking at the pairs, I'm excited for the debut here for Bombardier and Mimar. I feel like we've been kind of seeing bits of them, but waiting for their I feel like I've been waiting for their international debut for a really long time. So I'm excited for that. But the
this
big
could
news.
Be a very. I mean, I feel like the podium is going to be really interesting because Metalkeen and Borolava have been very consistent. Contimachi are going to be coming out swinging with as much drama as they could possibly manage for an Italian Olympics. And Sway and Han, we have no idea what they look like at this point.
I'm excited. I mean,
I am.
I don't think it's an automatic, return for them. I think that they're going to have to fight their way into this field, which is kind of exciting for me. I love them and I love their skating, so I'm never sad to see more of it. So I'm here for it. I hope that he's back or whatever injuries that he was dealing with are.
He had a
Okay,
waist
and it's
issue.
not breaking himself, but maybe the time
yeah.
was good.
I remember him having a waist problem. Yeah, I saw like people like saying on Twitter like, oh, you know, people are hypocrites for celebrating the Swainhan comeback and like poo-pooing like the Shibutani one and stuff. At this point, Swainhan are not taking the spot away from anyone else. China have not earned a spot.
Yeah.
So if they come out, go to the qualifier and earn the spot, they've earned the spot.
Yeah.
So they're not taking away from anyone else. So I don't have an issue with that.
True.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for Sui-Han at the qualifier, it probably would have been the Junior Grand Prix.
Yeah,
final.
it would be.
And that could go anywhere. Honestly, I feel like Sui-Han is a more sure option for the.
Well, they're not gonna get stage fright. They're not gonna get nervous. Really, like they have so much experience that's not gonna make them nervous. They could probably qualify in their sleep, depending on how practiced they are at that point.
Yeah, and it's a home competition as well, so that's another advantage for them.
Yeah. We were discussing earlier that we were a little bit worried about the TBD for dance, because we have heard people say that Wang Lu are practicing again, though I don't know if they have any backing from the federation after everything that happened.
Yeah,
I hope not.
Me too. I wonder if the Chinese Fed is desperate enough for the Olympic spots and for the team event to go back to them.
Yeah. Because they only have one spot qualifying right now, don't they? And that's men.
So Sui-Han are basically, locked. But either a woman or the dance team has to really, really lock in.
And I think it's a hard ask.
I still feel like women would have been easier to get than the ice dance because of the politicalness of the ice dance. There's
more spots for women than there are for dance, and I just don't see a dance team getting it.
Yeah.
Even if it's Wang Lu, they're not getting it. They were on a massive downward trajectory even before they disappeared.
This feels like a really good opportunity for Olivia and Tim. That if they can continue their rise and get a silver here, which feels possible, or even a bronze, I think that will be another big step for them. It's not guaranteed by any means with this team, but they will. If they come out really strong.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, assume Chocobade's going to win. Then, I mean, we'll see how Loprave and Brissot are scoring.
Yeah.
Because they were slightly getting dropped at the end of the season, and I was not happy about that because that felt very politically motivated.
Yeah.
They weren't the cleanest at the end of the year, but they shouldn't have been dropping behind Davis Malkin. That was kind of crazy.
How much of it do you... So, I say all of this as a comment on the politics of ice dance and not on the commentary on them as a team. How much do you think of their rise last season and the season before came from being the top French team and getting the benefit of that, and then the fall that we're seeing?
Maybe a little bit, but they're a team that I've liked ever since they debuted in juniors. And kind of nobody knew about, and I was always like, this team, I like this team. And that was when they were training in Russia. That was well before they moved to Montreal. I mean, anybody's rise is always kind of like partly because you are with Montreal. But I think a lot of their rise last season came from good content. And content that people found interesting and engaging. Some of it, I think, also came from having a very good gala the year before.
Yeah.
Because it got people's attention and went viral. I will say I think their drop had a little bit to do with Lolo and Guy being announced.
Yeah,
and
I did. Yeah,
and very much the press release from the French Federation being this is the team we're backing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And the Green Parsons Zingis Kolesnik matchup is also going to be an interesting one.
For sure. Because if you just take away the Shibutanis for a second, that is kind of the battle for the third spot.
Yep.
But yeah. Limquan also only have one spot on the Grand Prix, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
They did not have the most successful season last season, but it's a shame. They are quite high up on the replacement list, but dance tends to have the least replacements of any discipline. Yeah. Obviously, we'll assume that Zhuang Huang are going to get one of those TBD pair spots.
Yeah.
They do have one more team who I think we saw last year who were a bit injured, who are potential for the other one, but I don't know if there's any other options.
Yeah, I would love to see more of them, but not sure. So.
Yeah. Optus Canada.
Hey. Yeah.
This is such a weird order of events. It's really throwing me.
All right, so if we continue talking about women first,
yeah.
I'm kind of excited for that TBD spot for Canada. I want to know.
There's a lot of options.
But yeah, yeah. So that will be interesting to see. Also, I feel like it's gonna be interesting to see Sarah Everhart on the Grand Prix, and the Sarah Everhart versus Brady Tennell also I think is an interesting matchup because
and Isabeau.
And Isabeau, yeah.
Because Sarah was beating Isabeau at the beginning of last season.
Yeah.
So, be interesting to see what's
right now. This feels like the race for the third spot, but
yeah,
it's not impossible that we would see two of these people on the team, but I think it's not very likely. So it becomes that that will be really interesting. And then we've got.
Here I also wonder about Sarah's consistency, if she's gonna just push it through to the next season as well.
Yeah, last year was crazy. I don't think I saw her
insane
once. But I've seen that before, and then people have got new programs, and then it's kind of changed up a bit. It tends to be you get comfortable with the layout, and you just nail it every time, and then you change it for the next season, and it's not quite as consistent. So yeah.
We've got two of my favorite people of all time, Yuna Aoki and Lara Naki-Gutman. So I'm very excited for them. Just that. I'm just excited for them. That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm very happy for Asum as well, that she got at least one Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's a shame she had a disappointing end to the season, because the fact that she had so much success last season on the international stage was kind of unprecedented, and making the most of the opportunities you're given.
Also very happy that Lara got the 2 Grand Prix spots right from the get-go. That we just,
Yes, for sure. So yeah, the TBD Canadian spot, I guess that could be a second spot for Catherine. Or it could be Kaya. It could be a Gabby Daleman comeback. Depending on how that goes. But yeah, there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I really enjoy oh my god, now I'm blanking on her name. Justine.
Yes. She didn't have a great year last year.
No, she did not.
But she has been up there in the past as an option.
Yeah, and I don't think she doesn't quite have as much of a high of a ceiling as some of these others do, but I feel like she's very much in that category for me of people that I would enjoy seeing if she was there.
Yeah. And Nina.
I feel like Monet should win this, I suppose.
Monet versus Isabeau.
If
most likely match up there.
It's
but
like,
you never
okay,
know.
Isabeau
Yeah.
and Monet are the most likely, but this is like, you know, like Nina could spoil that. You could end up with Sarah, like, could win it. I wouldn't be shocked.
True.
Brady was putting down some hella scores at the end of last season as well. Like,
Maddie Skeesis locks in for the Olympics and the home crowd, and suddenly,
I mean, she had she had a couple of really good like short programs last year that put her like up there, and then like less good free skates. But
I would be much less surprised to see her in after the short than in after the free. But I mean,
as Sarah says here, Brecken Bresden could also be an option. But yeah, she
and also Ami kind of the dark horse.
I mean, yeah, if she's nailing, I think she'd be going for like 2 triple axels, maybe potentially 3 if she's doing 1 in the short and 2 in the free.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's a little inconsistent with that. But if she's nailing that could be a surefire win.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to be a good matchup. The men, they've already chosen all 3 spots.
I was very interested to see that they went straight in with Gogolev and Rakic.
Yeah.
I guess with Wesley having surgery, he's not on the radar at this point in the season. But Gogolev is always injured.
Yeah. It does annoy me a little bit that the Canadian Fed does this. Just picking and not waiting and doing the host spots. But because I think they've got a lot of skaters that are coming up, you know, out of juniors, out of those lower ranks that I think could be motivated. I mean, this is going to turn into the usual complaint about Canada not sending their skaters enough places.
Yep.
I do think that some more opportunities for some more skaters could really help motivate that next group that are coming up behind to try to fill in one of these spots.
Yeah, like John Kim is senior this year. David Steingart is senior this year. Just like, I mean, John Kim especially, I think, was bringing out quads last year. Like, give them a chance to show what they've got in the summer. I feel like when I first started like watching skating, Canada was so like on it with summer competitions, and like everyone was getting out there like really early and getting attention and stuff. And now it's just kind of simmered. And it's a shame that they just kind of go straight of, you know, the names we know we'll just put in there straight away.
Yeah. And I always wonder, you know, because I think when you have, you know, more established people, I don't think that it necessarily is always beneficial to kind of throw them into the mix. And you know, I think sometimes the vote of confidence of we're putting you in and you've got this spot, now go and do it, can actually be more helpful for people like when they're in that kind of mental state. But it's going to depend a lot on the skater. But when you've got a field that is a little bit more open, I'm not sure that benefits the.
It is good to see Roman picking up 2 spots straight away.
Yeah.
It kind of rewards him for having a better season last year and more consistency and getting that spot earned for the Olympics. And I feel like he's definitely the front runner for the Olympic spot at this point. I would be surprised if he was to be overtaken by anyone, especially with Wesley out. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it goes.
So we have to assume that Ilya's got this, but then it's going to be an interesting matchup below that with Kevin, Nikolai, Cow.
Anything can happen, honestly.
Kevin just has to pretend he's at Skate America instead of Skate Canada.
Yeah. But yeah, this feels like a group of like this is a whole set of like very chaotic.
It has a lot of chaos potential.
I think I say that because it's a whole set of chaotic personalities, which I enjoy even more so than it is like chaotic on the face. But I'm thrilled for Luca Broussard to have the 2 spots. I am probably overhyped about his comeback this year and his training at the cricket club and like taking a year off of school. But I like, from everything that I have heard,
I am very thankful.
Others, I just am like, I think that this is the smartest thing he could be doing. There's no guarantee, but I think he's really setting himself up to be successful if he can be healthy.
Yeah, I'm very thankful he's taking the year off school because I think that really hampered him his first senior year in that he was trying to do too much. And it really kind of like affected his season badly and didn't give him a good senior debut. So it's good to see him focus like fully on the skating.
For sure. Yeah. I don't know if I have more to say about these men at this point when we haven't seen much of them this year. You know what? We don't know a lot about where they're going to be this year, but yeah, it's going to be exciting. Dance. I don't know about this like head-to-head Canadian matchup here.
I don't like it.
Me neither.
I think you should be separating
let
Lala
them both thrive.
and Gillies Poirier, yeah, to let them both thrive. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, you will assume Kira Ponomarenko will finish out the podium, but it could be close. You never know. With it could be Tequila Veslus, it could be Reed and
yeah, I feel like this is a good opportunity to get the Grand Prix podium outside of Finland for Julia and Matthew.
Yeah, if they are like very on it early and completely delivering everything, they've got a good shot.
Yeah, this is I think that's a great opportunity for them. I agree. I'm excited to see what Brady and Somerville come up with this year. I feel like we had 2 years with the same free dance. We didn't really see, like, I feel like this, in some ways for me, I'm like, okay, you got through that. You had some ups, you had some downs. Like, now show us what you know, where you are. Like, it feels like an opportunity for them to almost sort of relaunch themselves this season, partly because they're maybe not in that, you know, they're not a likely candidate for the Olympic team. I'm sure they're still, you know, I'm sure they've still got a maybe in the back of their minds, but like,
they have to believe in themselves that they can get that.
But I think it gives them an opportunity to move up because there's so much potential for them in the next quad. So I'm excited to see kind of how they go and how they go up against Nesset Markelov here. You know, I think there's like, there's going to be some interesting jockeying down the field there.
Yeah. Interesting to see where they stack up against the Germans as well.
Indeed.
Because the Germans can, on any given day, they can either deliver or they can mess it up a little bit, and they will be a team who's going to the Olympics. So that's a team you want to see where you're at against.
Yeah.
The TBD is interesting. The two most obvious options are Fabri Ayer and Lawyer Legac. There's also like other options. There's a couple of teams that have moved up from juniors, which is Gautier Thieren and Nguyen Jiang. I got there in the end. And Henson Lickers. So they could all be options, although I feel like most likely it will probably be going to like... I mean, it probably will be going to Fabri Ayer, but I would want to hold off as long as possible because they are very high on the replacement list.
Yeah.
So in case anyone else pulls out, you kind of don't want to like give up that spot.
And then pairs, I think we've got a good matchup here. I mean, again, this is going to be an interesting one. I think that it's going to be hard. It's an opportunity for Deanna and Max to, if they can come out really strong and take advantage of the home crowd here.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think they necessarily even have to beat Haas and Bulletin here. I think if they are close, that puts them back in the conversation. So I think that they have to be strong here. And then I'm really interested to see where Cam and O'Shea are. I saw that they were back doing, you know, triple throws and look like the recovery is going well. But where they end up in this field will be interesting. And then I'm especially interested to see where Leah and Trent go. Because they were so strong last year, and it really felt like they were on a good comeback trajectory
until Worlds.
until Worlds, and that's
Yeah.
been the story with them, that they've been a little up and a little down, and so I would love to I would love to see them lock in and put themselves solidly in that top 10 space. I think they've got it in them.
I mean, at Four Continents, I thought they were potentially even performing some things better than Deanna and Max, but scores didn't necessarily reflect that because they, scoring is interesting. But it felt like they were kind of getting closer, and then it all kind of fell away well. So, yeah.
And they have an energy that's very different than a lot of the other teams. They really come across as athletes in a way that's a little bit different than some of the other teams, which is, I don't know what I mean by that, but I think that they have this they give a bit of a different sense to their attitude on the ice, and I enjoy that. And I think that last year they were adding some sophistication on top of that, which if they could figure out how to sort of combine the sort of the energy that they've got with some good choreography and some consistency, then I think it could be a really interesting package.
I'm interested to see how Anna and Luke do with kind of more confidence in themselves. I feel like they really believe they're involved in the conversation now after success last year. I'm not a huge fan of the choice of Fix You. I feel like it's a bit generic. And I really liked the musical direction they were going last year, and I kind of would like them to stick more in that vein.
I'm sure they think this is sticking in that vein, but I wanted them to go
it feels more like the old Anna and Luke to me, like the two-way covers kind of way. But yeah.
We don't know what their other program is, or are they keeping it?
No, I don't. We haven't been told yet.
Okay.
I'm interested to see the Grand Prix debut of Boulomé Bouvard.
Yeah.
I really were impressed by them last year and how quickly they're progressing. Obviously, the senior Grand Prix is a little bit different than doing junior worlds, but they did senior worlds as well, so they've got some experience under their belts.
Yeah, they did quite well at senior worlds. I think they have a lot of potential. Yeah. Shall we look at NHK? Yeah.
I'm very happy to see that Luna got 2 Grand Prix. I know that was a little bit up in the air because we never know whether Shanghai Trophy makes a difference of somebody competing in the season or not. I guess they didn't consider it to be that case because I think the same thing happened with Wakaba when she did the first challenger and then stepped out for the rest of the season, and she still got 2 spots the next year. Yeah. So yeah, good to see her back, and interesting to see her going up against Nina.
Yeah. I'm excited. This is some interesting people thrown into this mix here. It'll be interesting to see Sophia on there, and Anna Pizzetta and Catherine Edwin Spence with their Grand Prix debuts here.
And return of Young.
Yep. I'm really excited for the Wakaba Kaori matchup here. Kaori still has obviously has an edge, but it's
you can't even really call it a showdown because they're just such good friends that it's just it's all happy.
Yeah.
It's way different than Luna and Nina face off. Way different. But I'm very excited to see that.
And now at this point I will assume the TBD is going to Yuna. She is
most likely
the next on the alternate list, unless somebody has a really good summer and beats her a lot. But
she could, if she's next on the alternate list, can she? Oh no, she can't because we were the Japanese one.
Japan are maxed out on all other spots, so that's the only Japanese spot left right now.
I think a lot of the TBD spot for Japan is going to depend on the challenger.
It might do, yeah.
I
think last year they did.
They sent challenger.
I know, same. They sent a few people to Asian Open Trophy last year and kind of decided right as that was going on that they were like going to give the spots out to people from that.
I wonder what Japan's gonna do with the challenger. Is if they're gonna just send everybody, just throw everybody, and just fight, or just selected people.
I want to see who else, whose federations send them to Japan to compete, because I feel like that would be, on the one hand, potentially a really hard challenger, and on the other hand, you get an extra chance to compete in Japan, and people might really want it. So I feel like that's going to be an interesting one to watch.
You tend to get the ones from Australia and New Zealand and Asia and stuff who go to the ones in that direction as well. Johnny said Sophia not getting 2 spots. She is after Yuna next on the alternate list, so she's going to pick up another spot somewhere. I'll almost guarantee that.
This is going to be a tough one for Luna's comeback, though. I feel like it's a little bit too bad that, I mean, there's not like there's an easy Grand Prix, but I think the field we were just looking at in Canada would have been easier.
So much work into preparing for the Chinese qualifier as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
Men, I am excited to see Adam Higara finally on the Senior Grand Prix. That's the first thing.
Yes, I love how like dedicated NHK were to like getting him. Like even like last year when they thought he was go senior, like we want Adam Higara, and then we finally go senior this year. We still want Adam Higara.
Good. We love that he has fans. We'll get to see Yuma finally, which is exciting. And Mateo. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. It feels like late. I'm sure we'll see them maybe even both at Lombardia again, but I'm sure we'll see them again, before this point. But they're both very excited for seeing them this season.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't put like pressure on Yuma that like Ilya will have already done both of his events by the time he's getting on with his. I feel like it kind of like throws down the gauntlet, like, right, I'm done, I'm qualified. Show me your best.
In some ways, I think what's going to be interesting is that Cal will have already done both of his, and so like that will be an interesting thing to see. Will Cal have already locked down or a spot by this point? Like that would be a tough thing, but not impossible. So I'm curious about that. This will be Shun's second here.
Sure.
And the second for June and Lucas as well.
I'm interested to see who gets the TBD for the men. Yeah. I feel like that's not as clear cut as the women. Shunsuke.
Rio is still junior.
Yeah, Rio's still junior. Shunsuke's senior now.
Right.
And he's not getting a spot. He's a little bit too low down on the list. So he'll be hoping to have good summer competitions. There'll still be Nozomu around. So yeah, there'll be a little internal fight going on there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Maybe Takeru, but I haven't heard about him.
Yeah, he's kind of been absent for a while. Senna might be one to watch out for as well.
Yeah. I'd like to see Senna be able to make a comeback here. I've enjoyed him.
Really happy to see that Jimmy has 2 spots this year because he didn't get any last year. He was so close to on the replacement list. If anyone else had dropped out, he was right there. But yeah, it's like coming off the back of a really good 4 continents. It's really good to see him back on the Grand Prix. He can really make a statement as like going for that 3rd spot.
Definitely for him and for Andrew here. I think they've both
for sure.
I think no one was more excited to get NHK than the Tashlers.
I know, I saw their Instagram. They were so excited.
I'm very happy for them.
Me too.
And obviously they're training now with Arihara Pirinen as well, so they all get to like come over together.
Yeah, that will be fun. I'm very excited. I hope they have a great competition, and I hope that they all very much enjoy it as well.
Agreed.
I was a little surprised to see Japan give away their third spot, which I think my slight hope that we were going to see Ikura and Koshiro here was not a realistic hope for several reasons. Which
I was
also
wondering about
reminded
that as
that
well.
she's still on the juniors as a
Yeah.
single skater.
I never know what the ruling with that is, because I know you cannot do junior and senior. I always consider that to be like in the same discipline, so I don't know if you can do multi-discipline different stages. I don't know.
It's early.
I don't think there's
We
been any
haven't even
cases of
seen
that.
them do a competitive program yet. So like my hope for Koshiro, it was a little premature.
Premature.
But just take that as a like the amount of excitement that I have. Hopefully we will see them at the Challenger though.
Mm-hmm.
It's home rink, like
that'd
that would be great.
great.
I'm like, and I love the two teams that we've got here.
Mhm.
But
I think Yoshida and Marita have a good chance at Beijing as well. I think they're right on the cusp of getting a spot there.
I really hope so. I would love to see them make it.
Green Parsons versus the Shibutanis is going to be very interesting.
And as you said, it's another Fear Gibson, Guignard Fabry situation here.
Showdown there, which is it's so like it feels so tense whenever I see that matchup because I know how last season ended. Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion the Green Parsons are gonna not wipe the floor with the Shibutanis, but comfortably win. That's just what I think, but we'll see.
Well, I'm a Green Parsons fan, so I'll buy into that prediction. I have no educated opinion about that.
I don't have faith in a team that's been gone for 7 years jumping back into a podium spot. I don't.
I wonder when are we gonna see them? Like hopefully before the Grand Prix, and to check where they are.
They should definitely. I mean, I don't know if they will, but they should do something domestic or whatever, or maybe like Ice Dance International or something. Go straight in at Ice Dance International. Show us what you've got.
That's Lake Placid?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I had to process that because Ice Dance International is also the name of a professional company, and
it's just like Lake Placid Ice Dance International, and I can never be able to say the whole thing.
Which I just think of as Lake Placid, but then this year that's confusing because Skate America is Lake Placid.
Which I just remembered something I discussed yesterday. So when we get to Skate America, I'll talk about that. Pairs. This is so interesting.
The TBD spot for Japan. Huh?
Sure. Why is it TBD? Surely that's Naoki Maraguchi.
Yeah.
Like, who else?
Why is it TBD? Who else do you have?
Yeah, I know. It makes me be like, wait, who's lurking? But the only team that I
what's going on?
Yeah,
because they're not even like high up the alternate list, so they're not going to pick anything up anywhere else.
Yeah,
so I don't get it. But yeah, it's like how the Kovalevs are not on the French one. What are you all doing? What's happening? What are you all doing? Yeah, Sweehan versus Kontimachi versus Efimova Mitronov, I guess, is the podium matchup here. With a potential for Pavlova Sviatchenko if anyone wants to. Not to like go against Chan Hao, but it's been a bit inconsistent.
No, they've been on a rough go. I'm hoping to do some interviews in Boston over the summer, and I'd like to, with Elisa and Misha and with Chan and Hao as well. I think and I'm going to try to see if I can watch a little training because I'd love to see how everybody's doing. But it's they're a great. They're a team that's just they've had so much potential for so long, and just the injury situation has not been their friend.
And they're just kind of getting a bit lost in terms of content.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's tough. I think it's been a little while since we've seen them. Maybe they're gonna get Maybe this time will have been what they needed. I'd love to see them come in and challenge, and with the questionable citizenship question marks, it's not like the door is closed on them.
Yeah,
but they would have to come back really strong for it to be.
For sure. And I always love that NHK always want Danilova Siva. Like, they always come to NHK. It's a shame that's their only spot at this point. But yeah, I always love watching them.
Me too.
Are they high on the replacement list?
I think they are. I'll go back and find it.
Like 5th.
Yeah. So this is the point where
I
start complaining about the fact that pairs only gets the 8 spots and how it's not enough, because there's too many good teams that only have 1 spot this year.
And there are teams that should be guaranteed spots who are not getting spots from like the world standings. So, like Bekara Gorise, they're in the world standings. They haven't got anything. Holichenko, Downiski were in the world standings and were junior world medalists. Nothing.
And that's because there's
really
so many
bugging
host picks. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so, because there's only 8 spots for pairs and 3 spots host picks at every event. So, like, the same thing happened with Caldera Maglio last year, in that they were in the world standings and didn't get a spot. So yeah, it's starting to bug me.
And it's the thing where, like, we were in the first year of this quad, the pairs field on the Grand Prix felt pretty empty, and we had some teams that were kind of surprising that to be on a Grand Prix. But I say this as a pairs fan, I'm not bothered by that. And in fact, I think that helped grow the discipline, because a lot of teams got opportunities to really push themselves early in this quad, and now we have a strong pairs discipline again. Yeah. So, like, I would be all for, especially because, fingers crossed, I think we've got a good group of people who may continue into the next quad. I would love to see it go to 10. Yeah.
I mean, what I've always found good about pairs at the Grand Prix is that everyone will get world standings points no matter where they finish. So there's only 8 teams. But it wouldn't matter if they went to 10 and the bottom 2 didn't get points, as long as, like, more teams got an opportunity to show what they can do.
And I know some of this is the ice make situation, that they only want to do 2 groups. But maybe there should be fewer host picks then.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel...
I think you should drop it down to 2 for pairs. If you're going to have such a small field, you should only have 2 host picks. Especially because a lot of federations struggle to fill them. China struggles to fill them. Japan struggles to fill them. France struggles to fill them.
France as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, off to Skate America.
I wasn't going to go to Skate America, but then I found cheap housing, so I decided I'm going after all. But actually, so that was decided less by the skaters than by the fact that I remembered that I'll have a car and I don't have to pay for extremely expensive housing near the rink. But I am actually really excited to see quite a few of these skaters. So, like, it was then exciting.
I mean, Skate America was pretty lucky for Wagaba last year, so should be wanting to continue that trend.
I was going through the assignments today because I didn't see any, like, crazy back-to-backs. Wakaba has back-to-back competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple with back-to-backs. It's not. I don't think there were a few crazy ones last year where there was a lot of people doing back-to-backs, but it's not as popular this year. But
yeah,
they've tried to make it so that everything's, like, hopping around. So they're trying to not have back-to-backs, but a few people have got them. Like, Jason has the last 2 events.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, for anyone who's never been to Lake Placid, it is not easy to get to. It's very pretty, though end of November will be less pretty than if it was at the beginning of the Grand Prix season, because the leaves will be off the trees. But it's very nice little town in the mountains, but it takes a good, like, at least 3.5 hours to drive there from any place that you would reasonably fly to.
Yeah.
So it's a hike. It's a bit of an odd. I mean, it's got the history. It's Olympics. Blah 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 blah. And but it is a little bit inconvenient to get to. So the fact that both the U.S. and Canada chose very out of the way places for their Olympic year, I was a little like, come on, guys. But I say this mostly out of my own bias, but also for the skaters.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see who the TBDs go to.
Yeah, I feel like if Ava Marie Ziegler is on the mend, she's got a potential one. And then the other one could go to a whole host of people. Like there's Star Andrews, Mia Carlin is senior eligible this year. Josephine Lee is senior eligible this year. Yep. Could be Sonia Hilmer, potentially. I mean, there's a lot of options to see who does well during the summer.
Yep, that will definitely be an interesting one. Yeah, I think this will be a solid lineup, though. It's a good. We've got
I mean, Alyssa versus Wagaba versus Rinka versus Cheon versus Hannah. There's a lot of there's a lot of podium potentials, and Lara can always pick up stuff if she's.
I know. I'm feeling a little for Alyssa. Like this feels like a hard.
And Gubanova. I never give Gubanova the credit. Like, but I always just think of her as a Europeans performer.
But maybe she might have locked in super early this year for the
because she's got the Beijing event. So. Yeah, maybe we should just do Beijing and then just chill.
Yeah,
it's like, right, that's secured. I'll just relax now until the Olympics.
I expect Nikolai Memola to win this and Corey to also do very well, or I want them to be quiet about how they need to always be competing against each other to perform well. I'm throwing that gauntlet.
That would be hilarious. Memola beating Shadorov would be quite the headline.
True.
I'm not saying that that is the most likely outcome here, but
it's possible.
I do find it.
I could see it happening.
It's possible.
But I'm actually thrilled for Corey that he got a Grand Prix spot, though.
Yeah, for sure. And Kevin
also Grassel,
back in Skate America.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is definitely another anything could happen field.
Daniel asked,
excited for Jason?
why did the US Federation drop a whole spot in men? To be fair, their men have been a bit messy as of last year. I do think there has been some backdoor dealings with the French Federation in that they kind of allowed the Ilya Adam matchup in France, so they dropped a spot and made sure Kevin came to like Skate America or something and gave them all the dance spots or whatever. But yeah, I feel like there's been some collusion going on.
Yeah, and then we've got so for the pairs, we've got the return of Flazas Fernandez. Let's try to combine their names into one thing there. Yes. Also, Daniel, I agree. It does look odd that there's 3 Italians and only 2 Americans at Skate America. But,
it does.
But I'm excited for this pairs field.
It's sad that this is the only assigned spot for Hoka Kunkel, considering they won this event a couple of years ago. Granted, it was a weaker field, but they did win it. They are pretty high on the substitute list, but it's just
who are we going to get to join us for our Grand Prix recap, given that we've got 3 of our favorite friends of the show. 4.
We got Plaza Fernandez, Flores Lag, and Hoka Kunkel all on there.
Competing here.
It's going to be difficult. We have to find someone else. I do think the TBD is very interesting because there are, I'd say, 3 teams who are vying for that spot. Say Shin Nagi, McBeef, Hagman, and Chan Hao, all kind of fighting out for that spare spot.
Daniel, that's not a bad idea.
Bring them on. Live from Lake Placid. just everyone in a hotel room. But that might be against some safe sport regulation. I do find it very interesting that Flora's Wang are committing to going senior.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I necessarily agree with the choice. But I hope they have a very good time and learn a lot.
I'm excited to see them. I've never seen them live before, so that'll be fun for me.
For sure.
But no, I am excited to see how they go this season.
Actually, interesting. Cause it should be a win for Miura Kihara. I imagine Metal Kina. Well, you never know. Metal Kina Bolava did beat them head to head.
Yeah.
So you never know.
At home too. So
yeah, exactly.
But this is an exciting opportunity for a bronze for someone who will not necessarily get it on another field. So
for sure.
The bronze is very open.
What does worry me about Miura Kihara here is the altitude.
Yeah.
And I kind of would not have picked this as an event for them.
Because it's not that much altitude, though.
I've seen competitions in Lake Placid before, and I saw somebody like an ice dancer come off the ice and literally almost collapse on the floor. So I worry particularly about Kihara.
Okay,
because he's always kind of struggling.
I hear your concern for him in particular. This is not a Colorado Springs situation. This is not even a Courmayeur situation. It is I can't do metric, but it's like you're not above 2,000 or 3,000 feet elevation there. It's it's East Coast.
Yeah, particularly for them, it concerns me.
Yeah,
because it's kind of a trend of him struggling to breathe after skates.
And then we've got another, all the French.
All the French. French.
In the dance here.
And the debut for Becca Hernandez. We've been waiting so long.
Yay. Yeah, that'll be great. Also, Tali LaFornara here, which will be interesting to see their senior debut.
I was kind of sad for them that they only got one spot being junior world champions. But I get it. Especially with Shibatanis and Lorongi taking up 4 spots between them. I feel like that probably knocked them down from 2 to 1.
I'm very curious what's going to happen to them scoring wise, because they kind of surfaced and won everything last year.
Yep.
And now they, in senior with this field.
Yeah. They kind of want to cement themselves as the Italian number 2s.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good opportunity, though, for, I have to assume we're going to get Chuck Bates, Karapan, Marenko, Lojoy, Laga for the podium, but it's a good opportunity for somebody to try to show that they are up in that field. Lopareva Brousseau, possibly.
Yeah.
Also, thank you, Daniel, for putting
did pretty well last year as well.
Elevation in our chat.
Yeah, and then the TBD, the front runners, in my opinion, should be the Browns. It could also be Wolf Kostin, Zareski, Nesset Markelov, Pate By are also in that conversation, but I feel like they're just outside of it. So yeah. But yeah. Also, I love that this is another event for Leah Serna and Jeffrey Broussard to be in event together. I feel like that only happened at World Team Trophy last year. It didn't happen anywhere else.
Fun.
They also did the Warsaw Cup together.
Oh, they did. Okay, cool. Okay, Finlandia.
Okay. We're going to be so stressed by Finlandia. I just have to say, this is incredibly stacked fields, and we're going to be it's the last Grand Prix.
Yeah, because I have to be doing all my math, but thank God that's not in a bad time zone for me this year, because it's always usually Japan or China or something like that, and it ruins my day. The TBDs are interesting. It's very interesting they went straight in and gave Ida Kahunen the pick.
And not
want to put a lot of eggs in that basket. I guess the other two are probably between Linnea Cedar, Olivia Lisko, and Jana Jyrkinen. This is almost slightly, well, I was going to say a slightly nicer event for Luna, but it's still a tough event.
Sure. Especially as it's her second assignment, so if she does, God forbid, but if she does badly at NHK, I don't think
Yeah,
tomorrow high for this one.
I mean, Amber and Brady are both up there. Rion, Reno, and Monet are all there. It's a tough event.
Yeah, it's true. This is a tough event, but in some ways it doesn't feel quite as locked in as some of them do. Like there are, this is one of those where I'm like, almost everybody on this list, I could picture being on a podium. So,
yeah.
It's which will make it fun because this should be at the point where quite a few of these skaters are likely to be on the bubble.
Yeah, I mean,
each
Nina
of these
Petrikina
Japanese
as well.
skaters maybe like have won bronze kind of could be in that situation. I am really excited because this is the first time that I will see Rino Matsuike live. And I look forward to that. So that's one of my personal highlights here.
It was very lucky for her last year as well. So
yeah,
for sure. I found it very interesting that they didn't give the Finnish men's spots out like they usually do. Usually it's one for Makar, one for Valter, and right now they're just going TBD. You also have Artu Jusula, who is senior this year, Yari Krestyanakov, who is senior this year. I don't necessarily think they're challenging for those places, but I guess they're in the conversation because they're not junior anymore. I'm interested to see if just like anyone just disappears from the radar to pair up with like Melania Valinen or something.
The thought had occurred to me. I assume that if this was a viable option, this would have happened before now. Probably is looking for somebody
Plus,
stronger.
they wouldn't have given up a pair spot, would they?
The thought, well, I know that's the thing. The thought did occur to me of the like, what if Melania and Valter decide to team up for pairs?
I was thinking about that as well.
But he's already announced one of his programs, though. So
yeah.
Sounds like he's locked in.
Again, if that was like, if that was in the works, I think we would have heard about.
We would have known.
I don't think his back would have survived that.
No, yeah.
I mean, I will say he was
committed.
At least from the conversation, he was game for doing pairs. It was, the rest of the situation, like logistics and everything, that were not easy to in his attempt with Tilda. But anyway, I am always here for conspiracy theories of people's pairs. But
I mean, it'd be very interesting if Makar suddenly just became a pair skater and we didn't.
Yeah.
It's the citizenship thing is so challenging there because this is, again, I'm just gonna say, this is why we need open gender pairs, because there are some strong women in Finland who could totally throw and lift
Melania.
Yeah, we just need to make this happen.
For sure.
But looking at the rest of this field, like, okay, this is Yuma.
I mean, other than like Adam, this and Yuma, this could be a very interesting like order of skaters.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm hopeful that this will be a good one for Dennis. I think it has that potential. It could also be good for, I feel like this is an interesting one. You see Matteo, Dennis, Roman and Mikhail to some degree, Soda are all kind of in that same bubble of like very good skaters who are sometimes inconsistent and sometimes end up on podiums.
Lucas, Jason, to me feels like the weirdest trio of US men you could have at a competition. Like that's like a very young artsy guy. That's a 30-year-old artsy guy, and Jimmy, who's just like fun but chaotic, and there's like it's
also
very,
almost 30.
So. Almost 30. It's a very strange mix. There's quite a lot of older skaters here, actually. If you like Mateo, Dennis.
Yeah, I will say my fun fact for this is that with the assignment to Finlandia, Dennis has now been to every possible Grand Prix.
I saw that.
Because he was at Sheffield at the one time there was an Italian one, and then he has now.
So he's literally completed all of the flags.
Yeah, this will be his 18th Grand Prix. There are definitely dancers who have done more, but I will say that is I'm hoping that that's a good luck charm here.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see Dennis here as well, because before the assignments, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do either France or Finland, and then the assignments drop, and I'm like, well, I want to do both. It's very convenient. It's very convenient that they are so separated time-wise.
Yeah.
So it's not, as expensive for me to do both, but it's still like, oh. I'm very excited for Finland, though.
Yeah, I made a spontaneous decision yesterday. I was unsure whether I was going to any Grand Prix this year, and now I'm going to so just felt like I needed to throw myself into the chaos moment as well. But no, I found a cheap flight, so
and then I will interview every dance team in Finland.
Anyone going from the east coast of the United States who wants to go to Finlandia, there are flights for $350 through Iceland Air right now for October and November. So it's a very exciting discovery, and so I'm going to Finlandia.
This is a fun pairs field. I feel like FMO and Mitronow actually have a good shot at making the final this year.
Yeah. No, I agree. It'll be interesting to see. So I think we have to, looking at this, okay, that we got Miniki as the top.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how everybody shakes out under that. I think the Americans are most likely the next strongest, but you could get
Pereira Michaud
from Pereira Michaud or from
Gilardi Ambrosini.
Ambrosini could get in there.
They love to play spoiler.
Yeah, Gilardi Ambrosini and European Grand Prix tend to go very well. So
yeah, I really hope that's not the only assignment for Szczecinina and Woźniak.
Yeah,
they're on
for the sake of the team event, please, please.
I know that's another thing to have to think about as well as the team event.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many things to stress about this Grand Prix season.
Yeah.
Oh man, Poland should be on the bubble, but that's tough. Hopefully, there will be more spots.
I mean, Vape and Lord Digby should really pick up another event for the team event as well. But
but I am excited for this. Is a great pairs field. Many teams that I have a soft spot for, and that are relatively evenly matched. So this could be hopefully it won't be the first for those teams that only have one spot, but no, this should be a great field. A lot of the teams that I think of as more artistically interesting in the field are here, so that should be fun.
Yeah, as Melissa said, there are so many pairs teams that I'm like, where is your second spot? And that's basically what I was doing the whole day yesterday. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is an interesting event for Lolo and Guy.
Yeah.
Because you'll assume Gilly's probably going to win. Finland love home cooking dance. They really do. They love to home cook their dance teams. And then I feel like up against the Shibatanis as well, it's very interesting. Smart Deke. Tashlers, technically this is the second home for the Tashlers now as well.
Yeah.
So they can kind of adopt some of that home cooking. And Zingis Kolesnik are always just about to break through into that, really good score potential.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a very interesting event for dance.
This could be Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. This could be a full of disappointments. Like this is likely, I would expect the dance is going to wait. We're not going to know until this, for a lot of teams, who's making the final. And this could be a pretty hard competition for a lot of teams. Yes. And Hannah, yes, the Toshlers have officially moved to Finland to train. I think they're also spending some time in the US. I just saw they're on a flight to the US.
Yeah, they were on their way to Los Angeles, so I assume they're going to Scali. But yeah, so yeah.
Which makes sense. And I think it's great. They seem to be settling in well in Finland, and seems like
I think it's really good for them, their assignments this year as well, because like I don't feel like going to America all the time was like helping them. It felt like the way the rinks were set out, the rinks were too small for their skating.
Yeah,
they always kind of ended up at the same events as the Mrazeks as well. It felt like it was not going very well.
I'm really glad.
And this way, they're so excited to go to NHK, and now they're in Finland. So
yeah. But like the days that we're like Orhar appeared in just to have 2 Grand Prix and we don't even worry about it. Like I'm very, I'm excited for their rise. Yeah.
In the context of Shibutani, is also very interesting that we're not going to see them against Chuck Bates in the Grand Prix circuit. Yeah. And I wonder at what point are we going to see them against each other?
Nationals. It won't be till Nationals, unless it's the final. No, wait, why am I saying the final? They're not making the final. They're not making the final.
Well, I was trying to predict. I was trying to make my predictions for the Grand Prix final, and when the dance, I was like, "Oh,
no, it's horrendous." I don't see a team that's been gone for 7 years beating.
Me neither, honestly.
Half of this field, I really don't. I do think Lolo and Gigi are more likely to do well than they are, just because they've not been out as long, even if they're a new team.
Yeah,
and French.
And it's a different situation coming back into a very crowded field with some already established leaders than it is for the French. Much as we would feel for the other French teams, it's not the same thing as having Chuck and Bates already so locked in.
Yeah, and one member of that team won the last Olympics. The other team got bronze 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just not comparable. I was just thinking that we've not even talked about the Browns. The Browns have got a real stinker of an assignment here. And if they're going,
I really hope they'll get a second spot. But
yeah, if they're going for the host spot, then they've got back-to-back, haven't they? So that's fun. But yeah.
Anyway, so it's going to be an exciting Grand Prix. I feel like the funny thing about always doing this is that now I'm like, okay, it's Grand Prix time. I'm like, no, we have a whole summer.
Yeah.
Which event are you looking forward to the most? I don't even know anymore. I don't even remember who's where now. I mean, we've just discussed it. Yeah, it's just... It feels a little bit more balanced than last year's assignments. I felt like last year's assignments had a lot of people all sharing the same events. I don't think like that's happening.
The seating got messed up last year with a lot of with Shoma's retirement and some injuries and some it was a bit
off. It just felt messy.
I'm
so that Fear Gibson Greenard for Brie double matchup is still like giving me tension. But yeah, that's fun to talk through the assignments.
Since we finished Unfinished Ice Dance, I'm going to give a short plug to what I'm the most excited about of the news that broke yesterday, even more so than any of the Grand Prix assignments, which is that there is a new Finnish junior team that is 2 girls. And they are, let's see if I can remember their names off the top of my head. It's Emma and Millie. I want to say Emma Alto.
And Emma Alto and Millie
Colling. Yep.
Yes.
and they've teamed up for junior dance training with me.
I've got it right here because
God.
Amber just liked the tweet announcing it.
Yay! And just like, I mean, they seem great. I'm thrilled for them. Hopefully, we're going to do an interview at some point. But I just wanted to give big shout out to the Finnish Fed for making the changes to make that happen. And I will plug the petition at Open Gender Pairs and Dance, which is my other project that you can sign if you want to help get involved in the campaign to make open gender pairs and dance reality more around the world and at the international level. I'm working on some stuff very specifically for the US right now, but this is an effort that is going to be successful if we push it from many directions simultaneously.
For sure. Also, the fan awards are open until Tuesday night. I think there are over 2,600 votes so far. There's still a few close ones. There are a lot that have kind of like solid leads, but there are still a few close ones left. So get your votes in.
I had a really hard time picking the favorite ISU categories. That one, I had to give a lot of thought to that.
But yeah,
bio hobby is yes.
Yes.
So
many so good. It's so good. Like, because I was posting all the nominations on Instagram as well, and like all the people who were on the ISU bio one were like reposting it, and like I saw Evgeny repost go, we're all amazing.
Yeah,
we're all hilarious.
I love that.
Yes. And also special shout out to Danny O'Shea. Sorry that we didn't nominate you for best hair, but we think you should wear a hat maybe, and then you, or, then you would, you know.
Yes, he did message and say, was I not nominated for best hair? And we were just like, no, that is hilarious. Like we did contemplate changing the name of it to the Danny O'Shea Award. Yeah. So good. Anyway, I guess next time you'll see us will probably be for the awards when we're doing our little award stream. But yeah, we'll see you soon.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.